Right now, in 2026, the royal world is still reeling from the most explosive showdown since Megxit. Meghan Markle went public with her most aggressive move yet, hinting at buried scandals, millions in hush money, and documents that could shatter the throne forever. The internet lost its mind. Headlines screamed. Diplomats panicked. Everyone waited for the palace to explode in fury. Instead, nothing. Absolute bone-chilling nothing. And overnight, Meghan's entire war machine shut down. Her voice vanished from the airwaves, her allies disappeared, her confidence cracked. The mastermind behind this masterclass in quiet destruction? Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, the woman who never needs to shout to win. If you love royal drama, twists that hit like a freight train, and the sweet taste of justice served ice cold, smash that like button right now, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because stories like this drop only here, and you do not want to miss what comes next. Let's dive in. The tension had been building like a storm over the English Channel for years, but in the early months of 2026, lightning finally struck. From the golden hills of Montecito, California, Meghan Markle unleashed what palace insiders later described as her most perilous campaign to date. Gone were the soft-focus victim stories, the tearful Oprah confessions, the measured podcasts about mental health and injustice. This time, she came armed with menace. In sleek, professionally lit promotional videos that flooded Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, her voice carried a new edge, sharp, deliberate, almost threatening. She spoke in careful, loaded phrases. There are truths the British royal family has spent millions to bury. Documents exist that would change how the world sees the institution forever. The systematic mistreatment wasn't just personal, it was institutional. Each sentence landed like a dart, designed to pierce the armor of Buckingham Palace and draw blood. Social media ignited instantly. Hashtags trended worldwide. Royal commentators dissected every syllable. Even neutral observers felt the shift. This was no longer about sympathy or reconciliation. This was leverage, extortion wrapped in the language of truth-telling. Meghan's timing was brutal. Her once lucrative media empire had begun to crumble under its own weight. High-profile streaming deals evaporated one by one. Brand collaboration slowed to a trickle. Public fatigue had set in. The endless loop of royal grievances no longer captivated audiences the way it once did. To survive in the cutthroat world of celebrity influence, she needed a reset button powerful enough to force the narrative back in her favor. The Dark Truths Gambit was that button. She played it fearlessly, betting everything on the idea that the palace, bound by tradition, decorum, and fear of escalation, either cave or lash out in ways that would only amplify her voice further. The Atlantic seemed to hold its breath. Diplomatic whispers circulated quietly in Washington and London. Could one high-profile individual's public threats create real political friction between allies? Media executives hesitated before greenlighting anything too inflammatory. Yet Meghan pressed on, seemingly unstoppable, drunk on the oxygen of attention. She posted cryptic images, locked boxes, redacted files, shadowed crowns, each one fueling speculation and shares. The world waited for the inevitable palace clapback, a strongly worded statement, a legal warning, a coordinated media strike. It never came. Instead, deep within the historic walls of St. James Palace, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, second child of Elizabeth II, lifelong servant of the crown, received the first detailed briefings on Meghan's latest barrage. At 75, Anne had long ago earned her reputation as the hardest-working, least sentimental, most unflappable member of the family. She had witnessed divorces, scandals, abdications, and every flavor of modern media circus without ever losing her composure. Glamour bored her, hysteria irritated her, and Meghan Markle? Anne had formed her opinion years earlier. She remembered 2018 vividly, the global euphoria surrounding the wedding, the rush to present a modernized monarchy, the deliberate overlooking of inconsistencies, the shifting personal narratives, one day a self-made Hollywood success story forged by grit alone, the next a lifelong humanitarian activist with international credentials, minor discrepancies in background checks hastily dismissed amid the pressure to appear progressive, financial trails from Meghan's time in Canada and Toronto that seemed unusually sophisticated for a working actress, media support networks that materialized almost overnight, too polished, too coordinated, all quietly archived under the banner of privacy as the family raced to embrace the new era. Anne had stayed silent back then. She chose restraint for the sake of her nephew Harry, for her late mother's wish for unity, for the greater good of the institution she had served without complaint. Since childhood, but this escalation was different. This was no longer private pain or family misunderstanding. This was a direct, public challenge, a threat to expose secrets in exchange for narrative control, influence, or perhaps something more tangible. It crossed into territory Anne considered unforgivable, an attempt to hold the monarchy hostage. She sat alone in her private office, the faint scent of polished wood and aged paper surrounding her. Reports of Meghan's most recent statements lay spread across the desk. Anne read them without expression, her keen eyes scanning for patterns, motives, weaknesses. No flash of temper, no outburst, just the slow, deliberate folding of her hands. Hands that had steered charities through crises, represented the crown on every continent, and never once trembled under pressure. After a long moment, she reached for the secure line. Her voice, when she spoke to her most trusted aide, was calm, measured, cold as winter steel. This has moved beyond personal matters. What began in falsehood must conclude in truth. No emergency summit, no dramatic press conference, no leaks engineered to humiliate. Anne understood that noise was Meghan's weapon. Silence would be hers. She issued orders quietly, reactivate long-dormant internal review protocols, engage independent forensic accountants and digital investigators, request discreet cooperation from transatlantic contacts on financial and media flows, pull archived dossiers, the ones compiled in 2017 and 2018 but never fully acted upon, bring in external experts who owed nothing to either side. The operation unfolded in shadows, invisible to the press, undetectable to Harry's circle. What emerged over the following days and weeks was far more disturbing than even the most cynical observers had imagined. Pre-engagement timelines showed unexplained gaps, sudden international trips, high-level consultations with media strategists dismissed at the time as routine career maintenance. Financial entities appeared, shadowy LLCs, routed donations, image consulting firms, funding polished branding efforts well before Harry proposed. Post-wedding contracts surfaced, signed under layers of legal obfuscation, promising exclusive insider content to powerful American media conglomerates in exchange for favorable coverage and protection. Investigators traced money trails snaking through offshore jurisdictions, Delaware shells, Cayman intermediaries, charitable vehicles, eventually landing in accounts tied to Meghan's public relations and production campaigns. Influence trading arrangements came into focus. Glowing profiles in major outlets traded for strategically timed leaks. Social media amplification tools deployed to manufacture waves of support and outrage at precise moments. Even more troubling, Evidence of private palace conversations recorded as early as 2019, portions selectively leaked to paint specific family members in the worst possible light, always synchronized with brand launches or personal milestones. The pattern crystallized into something undeniable. Public tears, family rifts, protocol complaints, once viewed as genuine anguish, now appeared as meticulously engineered plot points. Every escalation calibrated for maximum media value. Meghan had not entered royal life to serve the crown. She had entered to acquire its most potent asset, global recognition and credibility, then systematically repurposed it for personal gain. The dark truths she now dangled were not fresh revelations. They were curated stockpiles, gathered and shaped over years, waiting for the moment of highest return. Anne reviewed the growing evidence in her dimly lit office, the projector casting stark blue light across flowcharts of betrayal. She felt no personal satisfaction, only a heavy institutional responsibility. This was no longer about one individual's grievances or one marriage's collapse. This was an assault on the continuity of an ancient institution, and she would defend it the only way she knew, methodically, ruthlessly, silently. Meanwhile, in the sunlit villa in Montecito, Prince Harry remained Meghan's most devoted shield. He paced the expansive rooms, replaying every critical article, every skeptical comment from London as fresh proof of institutional cruelty. To him, the attacks on his wife echoed the hounding that destroyed his mother. Loyalty burned in him like fever. He granted interviews tirelessly, voice thick with emotion, condemning the outdated system, the discrimination, the emotional toll. He believed Meghan utterly. He saw her as the brave survivor fighting an oppressive machine. He had no knowledge of the offshore trails, the pre-planned contracts, the long-game strategy his aunt's team had now documented in devastating detail. His pain became her most powerful amplifier. Every raw, heartfelt defense he delivered lent credibility to the narrative. Anne's investigators cataloged each appearance, quietly, factually, as textbook examples of emotional leverage. Meghan urged him onward, more appearances, stronger language, greater defiance. "They have to hear your truth, too," she pressed. And Harry, torn between love, guilt over his mother's fate, and a desperate need to protect his family, complied. He withdrew further into their California bubble, viewing any family contact as manipulation, any media scrutiny as persecution. He failed to notice the growing strain in Meghan, the late-night anxiety, the sharp commands, the frantic energy, as the invisible pressure from London tightened. Deep inside Buckingham Palace, a sealed conference room became the quiet epicenter. Anne stood at the head of the long, polished table. No refreshments, no small talk. Senior household officials, top legal minds, security advisors sat in absolute stillness. The projector hummed to life. Anne presented without flourish, intricate money maps linking hidden accounts across continents, contracts under pseudonyms, data manipulation firms manufacturing viral storms, covert recordings dated 2019, family pain points perfectly aligned with personal brand escalations, a recovered outline, chilling in its clarity, detailing future steps, separation, survivor branding, eventual political positioning built on the wreckage of royal reputation. The room absorbed the information in grave silence. No dramatic gasps, no heated debate, just the inexorable weight of evidence slotting into place. Anne moved the pointer across the screen with steady precision, her voice never rising. She revealed scrubbed early biographies riddled with contradictions, networks of aligned interests spanning Hollywood and Fleet Street. when she placed the final dossier on the table, the long-term blueprint for monetizing the fallout, the romantic image of the persecuted Duchess disintegrated completely. What remained was a portrait of strategic opportunism. Anne collected the documents with slow, deliberate care. No motion for approval was needed. The truth had spoken for itself. Then came the aftermath, the most terrifying part for Meghan. No explosive rebuttal erupted from London. No legal letters landed. No orchestrated smear campaign flooded the tabloids. Yet everything changed. Media gatekeepers grew elusive. Once eager producers stopped returning calls. Trusted allies went dark without warning. The constant hum of opportunity that had sustained her operation simply ceased. Meghan sat in her sleek office, staring at unsent drafts, fresh accusations, bolder hints, and hesitated. Her finger hovered over "Post." For the first time in years, real fear gripped her. She understood instinctively. They held something catastrophic. One more move, and it would be over. Not with fanfare, but with total, career-ending exposure. Harry felt the shift, too. The blazing certainty in her gaze flickered, replaced by something colder, more calculating. Discreet deliveries arrived, never traced, never acknowledged, containing fragments that pierced his certainty. He looked at Meghan with new eyes. The tears that once shattered him now felt rehearsed. The battles he had fought for her now seemed scripted. The woman he had defended at all costs no longer appeared as victim. She appeared as strategist. The unbreakable bond of trust fractured irreparably. In the quiet luxury of their home, he stood watching her attempt damage control, and for the first time, he did not extend his hand. The betrayal he once attributed solely to his family now paled beside this deeper, more personal wound. Publicly, Meghan's presence evaporated from the news cycle. No more provocative posts, no more veiled warnings, no more truth bombs. Online speculation ran wild. Backroom deal? Legal gag? Palace ultimatum? The simpler, harsher reality settled in. Truth had finally caught up. The conflict did not end in thunderous confrontation. It ended in suffocating, absolute silence. In her London office, Princess Anne closed the final file. She required no applause, no public recognition. Her triumph existed in the quiet she had imposed. Meghan embraced silence to preserve whatever fragments of influence remained. Harry embraced it because illusion had crumbled to dust. The monarchy endured, not through spectacle or vengeance, but through the patient, unyielding strength of restraint. So, tell us in the comments below, between Princess Anne's cold, calculated silence and Meghan's desperate, panicked retreat at the end, which force proved truly unstoppable? The blade that cuts without noise, or the cry that dies in its own throat? If this story gave you chills, hit like right now to show your support. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss the next royal bombshell. Trust me, there's more coming. Share this video with anyone who loves drama, justice, and the quiet power of truth. And check out the next video popping up on screen. You won't believe what's next.